Welcome, everybody. We are live streaming, so just to let everybody know. And the first part of our session tonight is going to be a public meeting. It won't take long, but we have to do it. So I'll begin that. The public meeting this evening will be held under the Planning Act and involves a zoning bylaw amendment application related to the property at 7706 County Road 21. This public meeting is separate from tonight's regular council meeting. Procedure for the public meeting will be as follows. 1, to start, the planner will confirm how notice was given for the zoning amendment application, then outline the proposed amendment and summarize any comments received to date. 2, after hearing from the planner, the meeting will be open to anyone who may have registered a request with the clerk to attend this meeting to address council. I would ask that any persons wishing to speak on this matter to please give your full name and street address for the record. Number 3, once everyone wanting to speak has been heard, the public meeting will be closed. All questions should be directed through myself. I'll now ask the planner to advise how notice was given, to outline the application, and advise of any comments received. Melissa?
Thank you. So the method of public notification for this amendment, the notice was published in the Recorder and Times on May 20th. This notification meets our requirements under the Planning Act by giving notice 20 days in advance of this public meeting date. Prescribed agencies under the Planning Act were also circulated notice of this public meeting, and township departments were also internally circulated notice of the public meeting. So in addition to this, as per township past practices, in addition to the minimum requirements of the notice in the newspaper, we also did circulate to property owners within 400 feet of the subject property to give them direct notice of the amendment, and that was done by mail on May 19th. So it should be noted for this app, or does not make written submissions at this public meeting or by the time that township adopts it by bylaw, then that person is not entitled to appeal the decision of council before the Ontario Land Tribunal, and that person may not be added as a party to any hearing before the Ontario Land Tribunal unless it is in the opinion of the tribunal that there's reasonable grounds to do so. Further, if anyone wishes to receive a copy of the decision of council on this amendment, they do need to make a written request for the clerk. So specifically regarding the amendment before council tonight, the property is currently a 229-acre lot, and it's also subject to a severance application B 15622. The purpose of this rezoning is to rezone the retained lands to fulfill a condition of its severance approval. The existing dwelling and barn are being severed with a 6.6 acre lot, and it's a surplus dwelling to an area farmer that's going to be used residentially and as a hobby farm use. The retained lands will be 222 acres, and it's proposed to be used for agricultural crop use. So the application will propose to rezone these retained lands from an A agricultural zone to an agricultural special exception zone, AX5R, which will prohibit future residential uses on the retained lands. Comments received to date on the application. We received an email from the fire chief advising of no concerns. We did receive an email from the county's public works department also advising of no concerns. And finally, an email from South Nation Conservation advising of no concerns with the application. And those are all the comments received on the application to date.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. We'll now open up for the public for any comments. Any comments from the public? Going once? Going twice? 3 times, come on. We will now close this public meeting. Thank you. Thanks, Melissa. Okay, we'll call the regular meeting, council meeting to order. And first we have the reconciliation statement, and the Deputy Mayor, your honors.
Augusta Township is situated on lands deeply connected to the Haudenosaunee, Ashenbach, and Huron-Wendat. We acknowledge the location of archaeological sites, identify both aquarian and agricultural community and an aquarian village in the township. With gratitude and respect, we are committed to learning about the history of the current aspirations of Indigenous peoples, such as uncovering the truth about residential schools and cultural revitalization. We recognize and respect the contributions they have made and continue to make on these lands.
Thank you. Mayor's opening remarks. I have a few here. First of all, I want to acknowledge the passing of Mike LaRock. As some of you know, Mike did work here for a while, and I believe the CAO and a couple others attended the funeral, so thank you very much for that. So, he will be missed. Next, I went to the Mapleview Lodge Foundation. This foundation was set up for a goal of $3 million to basically assist the Mapleview Lodge. The new one they're building is actually going to be called Mapleview Landing. They haven't formally named it yet, but and it's just as you go into Athens. It's going to be a 192-bed facility, and for a cost of about $90 million. So they're looking pretty good. CAO and I had a discussion with the Habitat for Humanity. They were looking for some real estate to naturally build a house in Augusta Township. We have the real estate, but one of the terms was that it has to be serviced, and that's where we lack. So they're really looking for service lots. However, they said they are beginning to do remodeling of older homes and stuff like that. So we gave them a couple of suggestions. So there you go, they'll come back. This morning I attended the 9th Annual Garden Adventure launch, and at Van Berlo Gardens here in Maitland. And the launch itself consists of 13 sites around Leeds and Grenville. I put a brochure on your desk there of the 13 sites, and of course we're fortunate at that too in Maitland, the Van Berlo Gardens and the Garden of Hope on Jones's Court. So anyway, I do encourage council to go there and take a look at beautiful, beautiful gardens. So last Wednesday I attended the 661 Air Cadet Squadron in Prescott. It was their yearly inspection. So it was at South Grenville District High School. So it was nice. Had about 25 cadets on parade, and went through their marching and everything else. So it was good to see that. I also had the opportunity to be a judge at Poutine Fest in Prescott, but they set down 4 poutines in front of me. So anyway, it was myself, Mayor Shankar, and Mayor Tori Deschamps, and a couple others went through it. We actually voted in the one that the poutine that was the souvlaki style. There's some weird poutines, but it was actually good, you know, and had some vegetation in it, so it didn't make you feel so bad. All right, Augusta Quarterly. That's the paper we put out every 4 months, and I'm used to looking at you over there. Vicki, thank you very much, and thank you everybody who donates towards that. I've heard from a lot of residents, they like reading it, so I think we, we still continue to push that information out. And although there's some that don't read it, they rather rely on Facebook, but we'll do our job and put out the quarterly, okay? So thank you very much. Pollination garden, I don't know if the councilors noticed as they come in the door here, there's a small little garden by the natural gas pipes there. So they planted those, again, to attract bees and monarch butterflies. So they're going to be redoing that as they reconfigure and repave the driveway out here also. So, but they need water. So. Myself and the CAO attended the Upper Canada District School Board and Catholic District School Board of Eastern Ontario Community Planning and Partnership webinar. This is once a year we get to know the enrollment numbers for all the schools. and the status of every school. So again, they said there's no school closures going forward, and they do not see any more in 2024 to 2025. However, our school, Maynard School, is still on the closure list from 2016. So let's keep our fingers crossed and see if things change, but until then, there's not much we can do, so. For those you don't know, our clerk is on a vacation, and Vicky here is her first time up here as deputy clerk. So when I start whipping papers over there at her, she may get a little frazzled, but see, plus you gotta watch the monitor and do everything else, okay? All right, we'll get through it together. Okay, first thing we have is the approval of the agenda. So moved by Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Bowman, be resolved that the agenda for June 12th, 2023 be adopted. Is there any changes, any comments from councillors? Nothing, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Next item, approval of the minutes of previous meetings. Moved by Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Henry, be resolved that council approve the minutes of the May 23rd, 2023, May 25th, 2023, and May 31st, 2023 council meetings as distributed to all members. Is there any changes to be done to those minutes? No corrections, anything? I see nothing. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof, the councillors? See no hands, thank you. Any business arising from the minutes? Again, I see nothing. Okay, next we have delegations and presentations. And we have a fair group in Burnside Drive neighborhood on short-term rental accommodation concerns. So, who's the speaker?
I am.
Okay, come on up, wherever you're comfortable speaking. So you can come up the podium, stand here, anywhere.
Saw a podium and that's wonderful, thank you. I didn't know I'd get this kind of luxury, so I appreciate it. My name is Marg Alexander, and my husband Jack and I live at 1113 Burnside Drive. And I'm here speaking on behalf of the entire back row here at council meeting tonight, all residents of Burnside and one property that is just west of us. And we thank you for allowing us to come and speak to you and hear our concerns this evening. Before I forget, I want to express appreciation to Mr. Garrity for accepting our letters of concern and his prompt replies to us. They were very helpful in looking forward. Also, Annette was really helpful. I know she isn't here, but in getting the application process, as it is something that we haven't done before here. As you are aware, I'm here and we are here to address our concerns regarding short-term rentals being established in Augusta Township, and in particular, the one at 1115 Burnside Drive. It is well known fact that short-term rentals are a rapidly growing community, not only here, but everywhere. And we feel it's imperative that there are bylaws set in place, setting standards, licensing, and inspections in order to ensure compliance. I would like to provide you with a little bit of background regarding the residents of Burnside Drive and the property just west, owned by the Burkes. Our area is zoned R1 residential river property. At least 3 families have lived here 35 to 40 years, and we would be among those 3. It's a beautiful residential street. It is well maintained, where families have raised their children, and we have some new families in raising theirs. It is being peaceful, friendly, and an idyllic place to call home. Unfortunately, as of last August, our little piece of heaven became anything but. 1115 Burnside Drive is listed on Airbnb and VRBO as a cottage that sleeps 16 plus people. It has a heated pool, hot tub, a sauna, water toys, the availability of a Sea-Doo, kayaks, paddleboards, and there's a dock on the St. Lawrence. 1115 is owned by a numbered company. No one has actually lived there since it was purchased in late 21 or early 2022. The former home was extensively renovated, bedrooms and open areas with beds in them now added, and basically it was turned into an inn, not a home. So we have 16 people staying in this lovely resort. Does this sound to you like there's any hope of peace in the community? I think not. It's advertised as a corporate retreat and a venue for family reunions. There have been hockey teams, dance competitor teams, a wedding, large groups of families and large groups of young people renting. To say that we were gobsmacked that something like this could happen on our street would be an understatement. This is not a home being rented out, it's a commercial enterprise. It is evading taxes and other regulations that legitimate businesses in Augusta Township are paying and abiding by. And the long-term residents really don't understand how this was allowed to happen. I will provide you with just a few of the examples of the behaviors that we've endured that has brought us here tonight. We've listened to loud music with a deep bass booming all day, all evening, and sometimes well into the night. Loud partying going on, most recently from 1 o'clock in the morning until about 5, 2 nights in a row. Even with all the doors and windows shut in our home, we couldn't sleep. The screaming kids in the pool, daytime, evening time. Sometimes it's lovely to hear, but not all the time. And just last week, kids were yelling and screaming in the pool, having a wonderful time. Unfortunately, it was before 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning. The Burkes have had young men playing football on their property. We've had people trespass along our waterfront. We even found 2 men relaxing and drawing the Muskoka chairs on the end of our dock. These behaviors have made the ability to relax in our own backyards often impossible. There have been bonfires on some occasions when there's been a burn ban in the township. Fireworks have been set off irresponsibly and dangerously, putting all of us at risk and terrifying children and pets. This is a heavily treed property, and our home next door is a cedar house with a cedar-shaped roof. I think you can understand why we are concerned with this one. We're not here representing a NIMBY complaint. We've shared the problems with the property managers on several occasions when the disturbances became too much. We've attempted to remain cordial, as have they. In spite of this, the problems don't get resolved, and any relief has been very temporary at best. It is important to realize that these events don't happen a few times during the summer. A new group of vacationers arrives at least weekly. We have recently also been made aware that there have been significant issues at the short-term rental up in the Lionsgate subdivision, and understand even the police had to be called there. So it's not just us. I hope I've demonstrated to you what has brought our neighborhood here tonight. We feel as residents of Augusta Township that we not only need but deserve council's support in establishing bylaws that are well-defined, measurable, and for which there are consequences and penalties for non-compliance. We do acknowledge that not all short-term rentals create the unpleasant truths that we have experienced. And we also in no way mean to imply that the owners of 1115 are trying to deliberately make our lives miserable. It does appear, however, that the $1,000 to $2,500 per night generated for them in income has taken a much higher priority than the well-being of those of us living in the close proximity. We felt it important not to come with only our concerns, but with recommendations that will hopefully be reviewed with a positive light by council. To ensure they were valid, we reviewed the bylaws governing short-term rentals in South Dundas, in Gananoque, and 2 in the Greater Toronto Area. We as a group have identified some priorities that we feel are vital to be covered in the bylaw in order to be fair to those neighboring properties who live and pay taxes in this township. We feel the bylaws for short-term rentals must include the following. Number 1, licensing by the township with appropriate fees. They need to be subject to an inspection, and there must be legal consequences for non-compliance. Number 2, requesting for occupancy limits. per location of a maximum of 10 people. It's a bit of a no-brainer what the result is of advertising or having 16 people vacationing and partying under one roof. Recently, the Blue Mountain District, which is also a tourist area, has amended their bylaw to limit occupancy to 9 people in order to reduce noise issues. And the Thousand Islands region is currently reviewing and adapting theirs for the same problem. The third thing we are asking for are noise restrictions, including acceptable noise limits during the daytime and nighttime. There needs to be a daytime decibel maximum, and we are asking for strict noise limits between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. for any short-term rentals in a residential area. The timeline for nighttime quiet we've asked for is due to young children needing to get their sleep, especially during the school year, and this has been a problem. Having to endure noise up till 10 or 11 o'clock at night is unfair to young families, and if I was totally honest, I'd say some of us seniors too. We are asking that short-term rental owners be required to install noise monitoring devices. These are commonplace in other locations, and what they do for the owners is immediately notify them first if excessive noise is being created. They also provide a record for inspectors as to the history of compliance at any one location. The fourth thing we're asking for are safety regulations. We don't have a problem with open-air fire pits, provided they're registered annually with the township and inhabitants follow posted fire burns just like the rest of us. We are, however, asking for a ban on all fireworks at short-term rentals. We have unfortunately witnessed dangerous mishandling of these firsthand. Vacationers are often not as diligent when the property is not their own. And the last point that we wish to ask for is accountability, and we feel this is crucial. To quote one of Dr. Phil's most famous sayings, you choose the behavior, you choose the consequences. And I would counter that with, if there are no consequences, why change the behavior? It's essential that there be steep fines for non-compliance, up to and including revoking a license for repeat offenders. Provincial law allows for up to $5,000 fine per offense. We as the residents of Burnside have not taken coming here lightly to your council. Our experience has been regrettably most unpleasant, and we still question the validity of the type of establishment being created in our neighborhood, especially given the zoning of our area. We thought it would have protected us. We've invested significant time doing our homework on the issues developing with the proliferation of short-term rentals and the measures undertaken to resolve the disruption to normal life. Noise is by far the biggest negative factor of short-term rentals. Several jurisdictions are having to go back and revisit their bylaws as they have found they either were not strict enough or had inadequate consequences for compliance. Let's do this right the first time. It is our hope that you will take our evidence-based concerns and proposed bylaws seriously when establishing bylaws for this Augusta Township. Thank you for your time. We would like to leave you before we go with copies of what we have requested so you can review them while you are looking at establishing them. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Alexander. In depth, really, and it's what we need to know. I know I've talked to a few of you over the phone last year and this year, and I urge you to come to council, which you've done, because it's important that each one of us hear the same thing that you're saying. And so I'm really glad you did come to council tonight. So it sends us a message as a group. So I'd like to open the floor now to the councillors. Do they have any questions, comments?
I got a comment. I empathize with you guys and I agree with you guys. When I campaigned, I didn't hear it from Burnside Drive, but I heard a lot from Iris Drive. Being Airbnb there, and there's a lot of complaints on that one, so. And it's not something that you wanna have to live with it as a resident. So, and I think we're kind of fortunate, our CAO, he's gone through this in South Dundas, so we have a template that we can work on, plus your concerns, and then I think we can take it from there.
Any other counselor? Okay, I just wanna say, yeah, it was late, I think late last year, we started getting the complaints and so I went down a couple of times and drove by. I drove in Burnside and I noticed there's 3 cars there, but it was all quiet, so I did, you know, during the day that is, you know, so, but, it's become a problem. So we had a tri-council meeting, with Edwardsburg Cardinal and Prescott and ourselves 2 weeks ago. And we brought up this short-term rentals. Prescott doesn't seem to have a problem. Edwardsburg Cardinal, they don't have any issues right now. But I think they will get them, you know? So, also you can see in the paper, Recorder and Times, the Leeds and Thousand Islands have been talking about short-term rentals and I believe they hired a consultant to look at it too. And I was talking today with the mayor of Gananoque, and again, problems there. This is all new in the last year, so I don't know if COVID brought it on or magnified the problem, but I never knew of any short-term rentals other than the Vacation Village, which is the old Grenville Christian College suites there. But there is a few in Augusta Township, and unfortunately, 2 of them are causing us problems. You know, the one on Burnside and the one on Aracti. So, yes, you're absolutely right. We've got to get things right the first time. We're looking at, you know, maybe a nuisance bylaw to start with, and then possibly a short-term rental agreement. But, so, give us time on that. I think what we're gonna do tonight, if council's in agreement, we'll direct staff, which is the chief administration officer, to come back next meeting with a draft for a nuisance bylaw and a short-term rental draft. And that'll give us time to look at that, and if we pass that bylaw, then we can have some action, which means, yeah, if there's noise, for example, past 9 o'clock, phone the police, you know? We all try to be good neighbors, but it's gone past that. And it doesn't sound like the owner now really cares, you know? So, and in most cases, they don't. To them, it's an investment. So, anyway, we'll do our job. Just be patient with us. I know that doesn't help when you have kids crying and everything else in the middle of the night because they can't sleep. But the government wheels takes time. But I'm sure the staff here know the importance and we're gonna act on something. We've got 2 or 3 nuisance bylaws to look at. And they're all about the same, you know, noise till 9 o'clock, you know, that sort of thing. No fireworks, you know, other things like that. But when we sit here as a council, we also gotta say, okay, what's good for the township? All right, so just keeping that in mind too. So, although Maitland area, and I included Burnside and, you know, the Terrace and the rest of the places are all kind of, that's where the heavy population is, so we do have to address it. So, be patient with us. Keep us informed. If there's problems on the weekend, phone in, tell us, okay? Because the more documentation we have, the better. There is a complaint line to phone in, and just so we have record of it. But also, we have a police services board meeting coming up, I think in 2 weeks' time, where the CAO and I sit down with the local OPP. And we usually mention a few things there too, so they may help. But they really need that bylaw to enforce it. So, I'll just read my notes, see if I missed anything. And yeah, I think I mentioned it, but again, it's something new to all of us, you know? 5 years ago, I never would have thought of doing anything like this. And, but it's going to be more and more down the road. So, and when people go away, yourselves, you may do the same thing. a Verbo or Airbnb, there's nothing wrong with it. But unfortunately, you get the bad ones sometimes, where they want to party all the time. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, just one comment, and you guys probably haven't thought of it, but it's another problem with short-term rentals, and that comes to the protection of tenants, because everybody's heard that rents have pretty well doubled, and you say, with rent control, how can that happen? Landlords can only raise a certain amount, but not in short-term rentals. They rent for short terms, every time they can raise the rent. And that's becoming a huge problem for the tenants, where they can only rent a month at a time or 6 months at a time. So not the same problem you guys are having, but still is a problem that we're having.
And I've heard from different mayors that usually once you start pushing this, they usually sell the property and move on. I don't say that's gonna happen. Hey, and knows you get something worse coming in there, but knock on wood, anyway. But that is it, and something to be hassled with. And kind of outlook, taking time tonight, come in, please keep us informed. We'll work away at it. Check the website to see, our next council meeting is usually 2 weeks' time. But you'll see, just check the agenda on the web, and you'll see it come up there, and you're quite welcome to attend. Okay?
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
On the second session, that is a mushroom composting facility for Carlton mushrooms. So that's not mushrooms, it's compost. Compost that, yes, from mushrooms, and they sell it. You and I are going to. That's one heck of a wall, don't they? That one, yeah. Yep. It's a compost factory, pretty much, yeah. Take care.
Okay, so I'll continue. Correspondence and petitions. So we have, moved by Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Bowen, be resolved that council received the correspondence from United Counties Elites of Granville regarding phase 2 of the agricultural area review for information. And this has to do with the, I think we all talked about it before, the LEAR. One of the acronyms they mentioned in it, it's land evaluation, okay, for agricultural. So is there any comments or anything on that, any information? If not, I call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next is moved by Councillor Bowman, second by Councillor Henry. Be resolved that council approve the donation of $100 to North Augusta Kidsville Day event. Any questions, comments on that? Anyway, so normally with donations, we try to leave them until we get to our budgets, okay? And I know there's one coming from the counties too, which is going to be about $4,000 or $5,000 a year also. As you remember in the last budget, I tried to jack that up a bit, but it's still at 5,000. But donations coming in through the year kind of hurt us because we don't keep track. I mean, CAO has what's left in the till, you might say, but it doesn't really help us. So now, that's one side of my mouth. On the other side of my mouth, I'm saying, what's $100? You know, to help the kids in North Augusta. So, yes.
Through your worship, I know they've done this for years, and they've paid for this out of their own pocket for many, many, many years. To me, I don't know if $100 is enough. They do a lot of crafts, they do like Labor Day, they do all kinds of stuff at Labor Day. That's just my opinion. They've done it for years, and it's come out of their own pocket type thing.
Any other comments? So, do you want to do anything about it?
I mean, if they're only asking for 100, but I mean, how much, like, as you say, how much do we have left in the till type thing?
Good question. Okay, well, that's the how much is left in the till?
So through you, Mayor, so when I looked at the budget, there was actually, the budget was amended to increase the budget from 5,000 to 6,000. Yeah, so currently right now, there's $6,000 in the budget. There is some money that's already been allocated to certain agencies, but there is still some money left in there for those one-offs that council gets a request on. You know, I certainly will echo your thoughts, is that, you know, usually when it comes to budget time, we'd like to see the donation requests come in at that time, because I think it gives council the opportunity to really look at all the donation requests and allocate the appropriate funds. But, you know, certainly this is not something that's gonna break our bank for sure.
$200? I don't know.
You have to make a motion.
A motion that we up the donation to $200. I don't know what anybody else's thoughts are. Or am I way out of?
No, you need a seconder.
I'll second that one.
So, you're looking at me now. That's a bit-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got a mover and a seconder, so it's basically back on the table for discussion, and then you do the vote from there.
So be resolved, the council approved donation of $200. No, I don't even say it. Do I say, I don't even mention the amount, do I? Or just say as amended?
Yes.
No.
$200 to North Augusta Kidsville Day event as amended.
Yes.
All in favor? Carried, thank you. See, I was trying to get you to make that motion.
Just give the little.
Don't worry, I passed it around.
Yeah, I know. It's totally me.
Next we have the, number 5, moved by Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Bonin. Be resolved, the council approved the donation of whatever to the Brockville Yacht Club for the Eastern Yachting Circuit Regatta. Comments, questions?
I know this lady and she emailed me and asked me if we would, and I said I didn't know because I didn't know, you know, if we'd ever been approached about something like this. And obviously they were looking for t-shirts and stuff like that. I don't know what we have that we can give them. I don't know.
Okay, I don't think we really have any t-shirts or anything, other than we have some little bling. I'll ask the CIO just to touch on that,
Yeah.
so.
No, through you, Mayor. So certainly, I think without not really requesting a dollar amount, I would probably suggest is that they come back at budget time next year with a firm kind of,
Okay.
whether they're looking for a sponsorship. As far as the promotional items, we've got our pins, our pens, but we really don't have kind of what they're looking for. But if they're looking for a financial donation, then they can make that request at budget time with the rest of the donations.
Okay, just so keeping in mind that other organizations would give to and everything else, so. Okay, so I'm gonna call the vote. All those for? All those against? You gotta vote either way. So all those against? All those for? Beat it, Mayor. That's, we don't do it that often, do we?
No, and
No,
again,
you're the
when I
one
was
too.
asked, it's like,
All right, moved by Councilor Bone, second by Councilor Henry, resolve the council resolve itself in the committee of the whole meeting. All in favor? Carried, thank you. So, we want committee staff reports. First of all, United Counties. We've had a council meeting, we've had joint services meeting, we've had the committee of the whole meetings. Basically, some of the discussions that came out of that was We talked about Wounded Warriors. I think you've all heard of that before. It's basically ex-veterans set up to help with PTSD and all that for the paramedics. So they are now working with, it's a volunteer thing. They're working with our paramedics. We also talked about homelessness. So different ideas. We were given a lot of, well, I think about if I remember correction, 1.3 million to put towards homelessness. So the county's just trying to look at that where they can, and where the money is gonna make the best punch. Some say in services, some say with housing, so it's not really clear which way they wanna go, or we want to go. Next county's council meeting is June 22nd. And, I was asked, I mentioned this to the CAO too. I was asked, what, in our township, what infrastructure problems do we have? Now, John may disagree with me, but to me, it's County Road 2. Not having paved shoulders on that county road. So that's where I see the biggest infrastructure problem in our township. And that's what I'll toot, you might say. So most of our roads are all good, and even some of the county roads except for number 2. So it's just so dangerous there with people riding bikes and trucks going by. And so anyway, I'll keep harping that at council. Any questions, reference council, county's council? Okay, next we have conservation authorities, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, South Nation, they're planning their 75th anniversary. It's gonna be on the 15th, and you can get tickets if you want to they're gonna have kind of a dinner in the pavilion outside for $7.50 a piece. You have to register ahead of time. They did have a concern, and it's more on the upper end of the watershed, and that is water chestnut. It's an invasive species, but it's very aggressive. So if anybody wants to see one, I've got some pictures on my email. But it's not, as far as I know, it's not in this area yet, but they do have funding to get rid of it if it does come in. Rideau Valley, they're planning on having their watershed tour, and it'll be in Westport. And they're also, the other thing, Rideau Valley, both Rideau Valley and South Nation, they were gonna try and work on Ottawa to get their stuff with category 3, but they're having trouble getting their meetings in Ottawa, and they're not sure if they'll be able to do all the townships if they wait too long. So they may come together and do a joint submission to Augusta Township to put their plan for category 3. And that's all I have on South Nation Rideau Valley.
Any comments, questions for Deputy Mayor? Good, thank you. I'm not going, I'm going to the emergency meeting Thursday, so.
Yeah.
Anyway. Recreation, so, any reports?
Okay, North Augusta, we have a thing coming up later on in the meeting. They need windows for the hall. The CAO was out there at the last North Augusta rec meeting, and you can see where the windows are leaking, and there's a lot of dead flies in between the windows, and they can't open them right now, so it's kind of impacting the air quality. The other thing they had there's a leak, and CEO thinks it's probably from the washroom, so I don't know if John had a chance to check that out or not, but it's something we've got to get on top of, otherwise we'll be in the same shape as the building here in Maywood. So, the other thing, which was really neat, was they did filming, the Warren did filming in North Augusta on June 2nd, and they had a young child from North Augusta with an amputee, and she was super cute. She's missing her one arm, but she's got a little nub, and so the CAO, we wanted to take a picture of her, and he said, can I take one picture? She said, no, 2. He said, okay, I'll take 2. She said, no, 3. Okay, I'll take 3, no, 4. Okay, I'll take 4, no, 5. And he says, okay, 5. Then she goes, puts her hand up, 6, high as I can count.
I do.
Yeah.
But because of where I live, I can see what's kind of going on over there. So they were doing some work over the last couple of weekends, working on the parking lot, putting the gravel down, and then, they redid the surface of the main ball diamond, so it looks really sharp over there. I had 2 meetings with Roebuck, accidentally. First one because we were all supposed to meet, and then Kathleen couldn't make it, and Shannon had sports. So then we finally got everybody together, so they got to meet Shannon, and Shannon got the grand tour of our crown jewel, I guess you can call it, nice hall. So yeah, we went over just updates on FedDev, the funding they got for that. Elevators in, I think we're just waiting for inspection, and then that'll be off to the races. And we were talking about Trillium, some potential ideas for Trillium funding. One of the things they're looking at is a generator to run the facility, the power, if there's a power outage. A couple of things that came up, there's still, the playground's almost done, it's still very spongy. I know they were saying it's expecting to be rolled again. Do you know, Laura, has it been done yet, or is it still, hasn't been done yet?
I was at the Ball Diamond last night, and there was people asking me, why did they put that down?
Yeah.
And I said, it's not, I said, the playground's not totally done. I said, there's things still in the works, and I said, there's still structures to go in, and then they'll roll the mulch again, but a lot of people are complaining it's not the greatest thing to walk on. It is very spongy. I went down and checked it too, and it's not the greatest surface to walk on right now. So I don't know, but it's not done.
Right, we know it's at least one more roll, right, John? And you're probably the one to ask on that, so.
So I sent the guys over to fill the void with the mulch that was in there, and we've got half a load at North Augusta to finish that one off. The other half a load went to Roebuck. We filled in the void where the zip line is supposed to be going here soon. I should know when that's gonna be placed in by hopefully the end of the week. Mary Ann's supposed to get back to me. We rolled the one half where the playground is. We kind of left where the zip line was gonna be loose, so it's easy to excavate eventually. When we get the zip line in there, there definitely will be a final roll. The ones in not Cedar Park, Merck Hall and all that stuff. So we did North Augusta, and conveniently when a guy with a wheelchair was going by, we had him kind of, can we use you for a second? So he came in and drove around with his electric wheelchair, and it was accessible, we will say that. It wasn't the best by all means, but it was accessible with the electric wheelchair going through. But again, Roebuck, we will roll it and pack it again when the zip line is finally completed.
Perfect. And then one thing that I'm sure you've heard about, I know Kathleen's heard about it and Shannon's now heard about it, merry-go-round. Apparently Steve Polite has it and they would like to get it back in. There was some safety concerns, nobody can seem to identify what they were. So anyways, it's been brought up, both meetings they brought up, you and Shannon was there, that they would like to have this merry-go-round put back in, and unless somebody can show them actual evidence of a safety concern, which so far nobody's been able to do so. So, but yeah, aside from that, one of the other things that they did ask for, and this is something that I know affects Domville as well, and probably many of the others, and Shannon and I did talk about it, so I'd just kind of like to put that out there, but we need to do something about a bylaw for dog waste cleanup. I know that the Domville Park is used as a doggy doo-doo place and people don't clean up, so maybe that's something that we could put to staff as well to potentially come up with some kind of a bylaw for that. Cause I guess, it was a concern that came up in Roebuck, and I talked to the folks at Domville, and it's not, they're not an exception there either, so I would imagine North Augusta is probably not much different either, so. It's not fun when you're playing in a playground and suddenly you're stepping on stuff that's not part of the ground. But yeah, aside from that, it was a good meeting. We just get the information and get the request submitted to the potential generator. So lots of stuff going on. Oh, and the big thing that they wanted me to mention, and I have it here in big letters, they need volunteers. I think that speaks for everybody, but volunteers are critical. their executive, what did you remember, Shannon, went like from 9 down to 4 or 5 or something like
Yeah,
that?
it went
Yeah.
9 down, we used to
Yeah.
have 9 and it's now 4.
So you can see how they can use some extra bodies, so. That's what I got.
Thank you. Chief,
If I may, your worship, thank you. In our current canine bylaw, there is a provision there for dogs that do their bidding and fines for the owner. So I
Okay,
can,
good.
I can take a look at that, and you know, we just have to be able to find the people that who owns the dogs. That's the tough part.
good luck. Yeah.
You don't wanna do DNA testing?
No, or temperature.
Yes.
I don't really have any updates from my recreation meetings tomorrow night, but I did go to Merck today. The paving looks fabulous. It still looks like, I think they need to do lines and stuff like that. Drove by Cedar Park looks amazing. It's all leveled out and the
Painted green.
spray, yeah, the
Painted
spray,
green.
yeah, it looks really good. So just wanted to mention that and say thank you.
Good. Thank you. Anything else, anybody? Oh,
Just, one thing, CEO Shannon, did you find out anything about tick spraying? I know it's a concern in the other in North Augusta, when the kids were playing soccer, the parents were just picking the ticks off, and that was 2 weeks ago.
No, we got some inquiries in, and hopefully have something by the end of the week as far as some.
I don't know if you guys have had that problem in Maitland, anybody said anything?
No, nobody said anything.
Okay, they're bad in North Augusta.
So maybe tomorrow night might be a mention of it at my, meeting.
good, okay.
One lady just.
Library, Councilor Owen.
I don't have a meeting till, next week, so I'll have an update at the next council meeting.
Okay.
They all disappeared.
And we had Economic Development and Tourism Committee, and I know you're away, Councilor Henry. But did anybody give you a report?
For your worship, no, I did not receive a report, but I spoke to the CAO and he said that yourself and the deputy and himself were there.
Yeah, so do you wanna give a report, or?
You can go ahead. I gotta do the next report.
All right, we talked about, that was the last meeting before the summer, and we talked about business of the year, different ways of doing it again. They've talked about possibly rewarding people that put in a nomination, like a contest sort of thing, because we really don't get that many nominations, so. We also talked about the summit wrap-up, which was excellent. So those are the two things we talked about, basically at the economic development meeting. And I see we got a new member, so, there's not any comments, I'll just do that now. Moved by Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Bona, be resolved that council appoint Pamela Robertson to the Economic Development and Tourism Advisory Committee for the remainder of the term. So, any comments? I called Pamela last, around January, because I ran into her, she was at Business of the Year, I think, here. And, she's just moved to Augusta, so she says, I don't mind being on your committee. So I called her and didn't hear anything from her, so then, she was at the summit too. And anyway, she got a hold of Nat and put in her name, but, she's been the, director of the Chamber of Commerce for the longest time. She knows a lot of contacts and is pretty good at, organizing anything, so, she'd be an asset to the committee, that's for sure. So, anybody else? Okay, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Next I have the PAC as Deputy Mayor Winans.
Yeah, we looked at a couple of things at our PAC meeting. One was severance on Kyle Road, and a mention on that is if you or may know anybody that's buying a lot, check and see if they get hydro service. These people bought their lot next to a house that's already there. The people across the road won't give a hydro easement to bring the hydro line across the road. So therefore, they'd have to go all the way from County Road 21, 10 poles at a cost of, well, it was 80,000, now it's 150,000. Anyway, just to kind of buyer beware if you're looking at a lot and make sure you get, then the other thing we looked at was the lot addition on County Road 15, that was straightforward. And then we looked at the property that we did the public meeting for, on this one here, so. And that was, and the other thing, we discussed Bill 97, and our committee figured that we would go along with the township position rather than have a separate submission on our own. We will just piggyback on what the township wants. And I mentioned to them about the planning session, and some of them may be interested if they can get time on it. And unless Melissa has something else to add?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, any questions, comments? Good, Gary, thank you. Well, next we have administration, Mr. Garrity.
Nothing to add tonight, Mayor.
Okay, just a quick one, we were, this afternoon, myself and Deputy Clerk and Mr. Garrity came in to organize this council meeting, and we got talking about the agenda. This is the mayor's agenda, by the way. So, and I've always wondered why community of the whole is on the agenda. Community of the whole is usually a separate meeting, okay? If you ask any of the other townships, it's always separate, and that's where you have your discussions. So, I've often wondered about it. I know the counties, we do it differently, and if you ever get a chance, I'll just say, hop on the YouTube or whatever and watch meetings in Prescott, watch meetings in Edwardsburg Cardinal and the rest of them, and you'll get a feel of, you know, how other councils work. But a couple things came up. One is when I hand out basically the resolutions and that, I have to divide them up. At one time, we were putting people's names on them. Okay, so rather than you write Councillor Bowman on it, it'd be already have a councillor's name on it, which, does anybody have a problem with that? No? Because all you're doing is motioning and seconding the motion.
Yeah.
Even if you don't agree with the motion, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay? So, if no one has a problem with that, we'll do that. That saves you from writing your name. And it may mix it up a little bit, so it's not always. But, I'll ask the deputy clerk if there's any problem, issues with that, more time on their end. But, and it doesn't save any time during the meeting, it helps me maybe sometimes, with the names. But you guys are pretty good. You guys are pretty good, except when you're mad, you'll write it quick, so. All right, the other thing we may look at is, we may, next week pull the deputy mayor, myself, and the clerk get together, and the CAO, and kind of look at the format of the agenda. Okay, just to see if we're covering everything we should be covering. Because I go up and I'm talking to the other mayors, and, oh yeah, I had a council meeting last night, it was an hour long. An hour? How do you do all your stuff in an hour, they say, you know, basically. Most of theirs are 2 hours or 3 hours long, so. So are we missing something is what I'm saying. So, I don't know, but we'll talk about it.
Well, we're not missing something, we're doing something right.
Yeah.
Okay. Council meetings, when John McCrae was mayor, they run till midnight, but they didn't have committees. So everything that went on in committees, that all came to council. So all those people, they came. I sit on Rideau Valley and South Nation. South Nation uses committees. Our meetings are usually an hour and a half. Rideau Valley doesn't use committees. We're 2 hours, 2.5, sometimes 3 hours.
Yeah.
So committees save a lot of time at your council meeting. Because all that stuff's already been all hashed out.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we're hashing out the right things, you know what I mean? That's kind of what I was.
I think so. We're using grassroots, we're using our residents to hash things out, and it's up to the councillors then, it's up to me and it's up to all of us to bring forward the concerns of our committee.
I think if we just get a minute, we'll take a minute and talk about it, because it just, I just want to make sure we are covering everything, and everybody's getting, you know, a good chance to say something, so.
You just can't talk as long as done.
We're live streaming, All right, So what was I gonna say? So you'll pass that on to, Liz Smile. All right, move on to administration and finance. Number 8, moved by Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Henry, be resolved that council authorize the clerk and the mayor to enter into a contract for park and play design for the supply and installation of playground equipment at Donville Park and Maynard Recreation Center as outlined below as upset limit of 100,000. Comments? And so do I address this to CAO? Okay. You have anything to say on it?
No, certainly, I think, as outlined in the clerk's report, the price does come in somewhat below the 100,000, but certainly want to explore utilizing all the funds as necessary, so that we don't have to give any back to the province. But I think one of the things that did come up tonight with the North Augusta playground is we want to just reach out to the company to see what the possibility of cork would cost. Cork is a long-standing type of surface that will last a lot longer than mulch and stuff, but we just want to start gaining a price to see what that cost is. It might be well above what we're looking for, but certainly we'll look at that as an option to spend the rest of the money, or if not, looking at adding a few other pieces to the playground, so.
Well, the reason this came about was because we decided to take Masonic Hall down. So that freed up some money that we were gonna use for accessibility, and then we changed the grant around and used it for 2 playgrounds.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Where am I here? Report 2023-066, short-term rentals. Moved by Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Bowman, be resolved that council accept the information as presented in the report and provide directions to staff on short-term rentals. Okay, comments, questions?
Well, just a comment, I guess it's been suggested that staff's gonna come back with us. Could they also give us the proper procedure, like whether it has to be a public meeting or what we have to go through? Then we'll get a better idea of timeline.
Yeah, Councillor Henry.
Through your worship, could we also get a list of how many homes that we know about that are having this issue?
Ones that complained?
Well, I don't necessarily need addresses or anything, but I'm just thinking, I
Two
didn't
so
know about
far.
Irish Drive.
There's only 2 so far.
Oh, okay, okay.
The one at Arachi Drive, police were called, drunks on the lawn, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, the one on Burnside, which has been going on for, since last August.
Out of town.
But I'm not aware of any other complaints from any others. There are more, but, yeah, so. Anything else? Anybody? All in favor? Carried. Report 2023-067, North Augusta Community Hall. Moved by Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Henry. Be resolved that council approve the purchase of new windows at North Augusta Community Hall in the amount of $6,006.86 plus HST, and that the cost be a portion 50-50 with the North Augusta Recreation Committee, and that council declare the 23 windows purchased by the Township of Augusta from Wiltsey Brockville Glass in September 2020 from Masonic Hall as surplus, and direct staff to work with the committee to sell the windows and funds to be relocated back. Questions, comments? So when you sell these windows, will the funds be sent back 50-50 also?
So, through Mayor, so these funds, my understanding was paid through the CCRF fund.
Okay.
So the proceeds would go back into that overall project, which was the $780,000 to do upgrades to the North Augusta ring pad and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it was a Main Street Revitalization Fund, that was before this.
Okay.
Okay, so that was when they did Main Street, and then it was to beautify that building, to put windows in, because at that time, they were still gonna use it.
Okay.
Okay, so they've been sitting 2 years at Wilsey's, and now they're sitting at the
Okay.
fire hall right now, I think. You know what they got stuff.
No, in Maitland.
The rec committee wants, I think, 4 or 6, and Maynard, they want some here if they're doing similar style building.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Okay, call question, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Operations, report 2023-064, relocate bucket truck purchase funds. Moved by Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Bowman. Be it resolved, the council authorized township staff to relocate the remaining 2023 surplus funds of $36,550 from the approved $125,000 budget for the purchase of one bucket truck for repairs, upgrades the following: $20,000 for the repair of cable and boom, including the safety, and $15,000 for the outfitting of personal protection and arbor equipment specific to the vehicle and its use. Any comments? John, you want to give any comments on this at all?
Nope, it's just retrofit the truck to make sure that we're not pummeled between two vehicles and he's trying to set up the trucks accordingly with equipment.
Okay.
So we're not piecing back and forth.
Yeah. I just wonder, John, do you think there's any way we could run some kind of a contest with the kids, either in our next quarterly or whatever, to name the bucket truck? And some kind of a prize for the kids?
Well, I think the bucket truck, and I also like the snowplow.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And
Get
I
the
think
community
that will
involved.
give that'll give the community a bit of yeah, hey, we're part of it, and we named our community, their kids got to name the truck.
Yeah.
Because it's a new piece of equipment for Augusta Township. Community engagement.
Okay, good. Any others? I'll call the question, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Report 2023-065. Moved by Councillor Bowman, second by Councillor Henry. Be resolved that council approve the amount of $10,000 for the installation of one new street light at the intersection of Charlieville Road and Algonquin Road. And if you remember correctly, that was the Shannon family that came about 2 months ago, I think, and asked for a street light on Charlieville Road, right around the bridge, I believe it was. So anyway, any comments, questions on that?
You may want to give him some prior notice. You may have a heart attack if he sees us putting it in. He's only asked for that for about the last 5 or 6 years.
And now does that sum of $10,000, is that the upper limit sort of thing? Yeah.
Yes. That was post, light bulbs, and the standard itself though.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? CAO?
Yeah, just for council information, so this item is not, of course, in the 2023 budget, but what it will do is it'll go to the bottom line, so whatever savings happens throughout the year, it will get eaten up by that additional cost, so. As the acting public works manager said, it's the upset limit, so if it's only gonna cost us $7,500, then that's all that will be allocated to that.
Yeah, good, thank you. Okay, call question, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Planning and Building Services, report 2023-057, zoning bylaw, Z-05-23, 7706 County Road 21. And it's moved by Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Bowman. Be resolved that council receive the planner's report 2023-057 for information. Any comments, questions on that? Okay, call the vote, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Report 2023-058, severance, B-39-23 Kyle Road. Moved by Deputy Mayor Winans, seconded by Councillor Pate. Be resolved that council recommend to the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville consent granting authority that consent application B-39-23 be approved, subject to 7 conditions of approval as detailed in staff report 2023-058. Any comments on that? I call a question, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Report 2023-059, CBO, Chief Building Officer report, update report. Moved by Councillor Page, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans, be resolved the council received the building department activity report for May 2023 for information. Any comments? Okay. If not, I'll call the question, all in favor? Carried, thank you. 16, report 2023-063, severance B-45-23, 7400 County Road 15, moved by Deputy Mayor Wyden, seconded by Councillor Page, to resolve that council recommends to the United County of Leeds and Granville Consent Granting Authority the consent application B-45-23 be approved, subject to 4 conditions of approval as detailed in staff report 2023-063. Any comments, questions? Okay, I'll call, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Protective Services. Report 2023-060, year-end bylaw report. And moved by Councillor Page, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans, be resolved the Council of the Township of Augusta accept the bylaw year-end report for 2022 for the purpose of information. Any comments, questions? Chief, do you want to say anything on that?
Through your worship, no, I believe the report speaks for itself.
Okay. I noticed on there, I thought there was noise on there. Was there not? I just, how did bylaw get in that, you know?
Through your worship, so as you know, we don't technically have a noise bylaw, but we
Right.
will if a complaint does come in, because we, our bylaw services for years have done everything based on complaint, right? We will go and visit them and try to talk to them and explain we've got a complaint and to lower the noise level. We really don't have any teeth in that matter, but we'll go and, at least talk to them, and maybe they don't realize that, things are as loud as they are, so Sam will go and just chat with them and ask them whether they can turn things down, and so far it's been good.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Report 2023-061, firefighter training report. Moved by Deputy Mayor Wyden, seconded by Councillor Page, be resolved the Council of the Township of Augusta accept this report on current progress that Augusta Fire Rescue has made in relation to the mandatory firefighter certification regulation for the purpose of information. Comments, questions? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, Chief Bowman, how would you figure we're doing on this?
I believe we're doing amazingly compared to many other fire services. As you'll see in the report, as long as everyone passes and things go well, basically 90-95% of our service will be certified to the Ontario standard. I think a lot of that goes back to we took full advantage of the grandfathering provisions that were given to us by the Ontario Fire Marshal's Office in, I think it was 2014 and 2018. And then our firefighters realized that this was going to happen, so instead of ignoring it, they met the challenge, and they've come a long way, and they've all had to take some courses, but it's been good, and we're well on our way to meeting it early, which the deadline was for current firefighters was July 1st, 2026, for what's called a full service firefighter. There will be some ongoing after that, some shorter courses that have to be done by July 1st, 2028. No, we're well ahead of the curve.
Yes. Another question, will the new facility in Glengarry help us?
Through your worship, it will. One of the things I pride ourselves on, and our coordinator is probably responsible for more than anyone, she continually is looking at all the different, they call them regional training centers, what courses are being offered, when they're being offered, getting our names in first, and giving all that information to our firefighters so that they have choices, right? Sometimes we try to have the courses here at our own department or in Prescott. We teamed up a lot with Prescott to try to share services. But when that's not possible, we look towards Lyndhurst, Rockland. We've sent some to Trenton, and the one in Glengarry will assist us for sure.
Good.
Okay, any comments? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, return to regular meeting of council, moved by Deputy Mayor Wyland, seconded by Councillor Pape. Be resolved that council move to a regular meeting of council. All in favor? Carried, thank you. New and unfinished business, do we have any new and unfinished business? Notice of motions? And bylaws. Moved by Councillor Pape, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans. Be resolved that bylaw number 3639-2023 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2965 as amended, 7706 County Road 21 be read a first time, second time, and third time, and be enacted as read. All in favor? Carried. Yes. Announcements. Well, everybody's got announcements, but I don't know why. All right. Deputy Mayor, I'm sure you have one.
Oh, yes. On June 20th, there's going to be a work scope for apprentices at breakfast at the St. Lawrence College from 8 till 10. And then on June 21st, there's going to be at County's Council at 4 p.m. It'll be the Ag Land Review will be brought out. And then on June 22nd, the Westport Reno Valley Watershed Tour is going on. And the other announcement I have, and in our quarterly, CAO's picture was in there. He said the first picture he's taken with me in a tractor, with myself, Shannon, and a tractor. And the land here is planted in wheat for the food bank, and the land on Blue Church is in soybeans, and the Invista DuPont land, that's all in corn. So, and everything's planted. So.
Good. Anybody else for announcements? I got some here. We got a police board meeting conference, you might say, in Brockville this Friday. June is Pride Month, so you know that. Anyway, South Nation 75th, as the deputy mayor said, I won't be able to attend. I'll be at emergency training I have to do, 4 to 7. Well, it's 4 to 6, now it's 4 to 7. I don't know what happened. Mainland, we have Mainland Garden of Hope and Burlow Gardens, on July 22nd, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Rain date's the 23rd. I was talking to Mr. Zabisky, and he said it'd be nice if he saw some counselors and the mayor around, just drop in and walk the garden. So that's on that date, July 22nd. Also on July, that's that one. The Maitland Garden of Hope will also be holding a Yard Garden Charity Art Show and sale on July 29th from 10 to 4. And from our clerk here, the township received a quantity of three $300 grants from South Nation Conservation, one for pollinator gardens at the township office, one for bushes of the Public Works Garage, and one for second pitch in the event. More details to come in fall. Just to note, Public Works do not plant them under eaves troughs, okay? They need rain, so we've gotta do some replanting up there. But the effort was there, and we're all happy to play it, so. Opening of V6, have you heard anything from Mr. Brophy at all? Like he's made looks like he's made the backstage there, but.
I can certainly reach out to him again and just see if he can
He
provide.
said the middle of June, that's why I was kind of questioning it.
Yep, I'll follow up with him.
Also, we would like to do that donation to the Lane Chartrand rink in Prescott. So you didn't send those dates out yet, no?
I'm just waiting to hear back from the mayor of Prescott.
You did? Okay,
Yes.
good. So I gave the CAO 4 dates. They consisted of June 19th through to the 23rd. And so we sent it off to the mayor of Prescott. We figured they could have their council there and our council there. We don't know what time. So we just gotta pick a date. And unfortunately, if you can't be there, you can't be there. But I'd like everybody there, don't get me wrong. So once we hear back from that date, that's when we'll be presenting the $75,000 check, and we're getting a bronze plaque made up that says Augusta Walking Track. And won't be presenting that day, but we'll have a mock-up of the plaque that day. So, what was I gonna say? So what, is there a specific time that's good for everybody in a day? We may not adhere to it, but at least if the CAO knows.
Is morning better for council or is late afternoon better? Or midday?
Most days I'm pretty flexible.
Has to be during the week.
Don't know, well, we could be, yeah.
So for you, Tanya, mornings are no good, have to be.
I could probably try to make something work though.
Skip out for half an hour. And we'll wait to see what they come back at. So,
For me, it depends on the day.
yeah,
That works
it'd
good.
just be nice to have both councils there.
I'd really like to be there.
Well, I'll get some dates back tomorrow and then we can.
Okay. Yeah, we don't wanna leave it too late because then it starts interfering with their grand opening and everything else. Okay, time for announcements.
Actually, your worship, just one quick one, if that's okay, your worship?
Yeah.
I'd just like to say that on this Saturday, June 17th, at the Greenyard Center in Cardinal, your Augusta firefighters will be partaking in the Eastern Ontario Firefighter Association 111th Annual Firefighter Competition. So it's this Saturday in Cardinal. Starts at 9 a.m., runs 9 to 4, parades at 7, and the awards ceremony is at 8. And then if you want to stay all day, there's a dance from 9 till 1 with Country Rocks as the bands.
Good. Yes, Joe.
I got one also, Mr. Mayor. You guys were talking about fundraisers for the Maple View Lodge. June 24th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tackleberry Construction has opened up their doors for their antiques. If anybody's interested in going there, it's $150 donation, which includes the tour and light refreshments, and it is at their Tackleberry location at 109 Washburn Road. And it's, believe me, I was there for 14 years, worked there, and the toys he has is immaculate. So it is, he doesn't open it up too often for public, but it's a great tour and a great charity. If anybody's interested, June 24th.
I purchased 2 tickets myself. Now you may wanna check on this, I heard they're sold out.
I might be able to sneak you a couple.
Well, I don't know who I wanna take yet, but anyway. My wife is, now she wants to look at trucks. Anyway, yeah, I can't wait because I've heard his collection is.
It's beautiful, one of a kind.
Oh, that reminds me, the mayor told me of Gananoque that there's what they call a Rock City weekend or something like that, but.
Ganner Rockway.
What?
They call it Ganner Rockway.
Anyway, car show on Saturday, about 150 cars. Any car enthusiasts? Take yours.
Are you taking yours?
Good enough for that.
Any other questions or any other announcements, sorry? And I'm just, while we were thinking, just point of order while I was looking at this, we're going into a closed session, but normally, I think you know what I'm getting at, questions for the public and press are normally done after the closed session. We put them before. I don't see a problem in that, other than public may have to wait an hour or so, you know, that's probably why you put them there. It's something to think about next week. All right, questions on the agenda items for the press? And no, I think what happens is the press actually, they don't come on, but they look at it afterwards. And they're doing that, I think, with all the councils, including county's council, because they don't come to that either. So they look at it during leisure, which is all right. I guess they're limited in manpower. Questions from the public? Laura, do you have anything?
I just wanna say, Hendrik mentioned that we were having our, we have an elevator now installed at the hall. We, after that meeting we had with Shannon and him and Kathleen, our elevator was inspected and it was approved, so our elevator is now in use.
Good.
We had two of our committee members, myself and Marlene, shown how to use it, so it's now in use. So I didn't get stuck on it, so it's very easy to use. If I can use it, we get up and down, and it's good.
Senior citizens, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm not far from the seniors, so it's good.
All right, we're going to close session as per section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001. Moved by Deputy Mayor Wyman, seconded by Councilor Pate. Be it resolved, this council moved to a closed meeting at 7:24 p.m. as per the Municipal Act, Chapter 25, Section 2001, Section 239, brackets 2, to discuss labor relations, employee matter update, litigation, proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality, proposed acquisition of industrial land by the municipality, proposed disposition of industrial land by the municipality. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.